Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Sag Star, Master of Scary Stories, and I'm here today to tell you about the mysterious Ouija board. So our content today might be a little sensitive for some viewers. It's not particularly gory, but it does have some criminal activity and a little bit of a darker side than the last video I posted, so it might not be suitable for some ages. Okay, so if you don't know what a Ouija board, it's going to look like this. So the Ouija board, basically what it is, it's a board that has the alphabet on it, and then on the top it has yes and no, and then on the bottom it has numbers, and under the numbers it has goodbye. The way you use it is they have this little planchette. It's like a rectangular wooden piece with the center cut out. So what happens is you're going to use this board to contact the spirits from the other side. The way it works is you get your two fingers, you put it on the planchette, and the planchette's on the board, and you call upon the spirits and you ask them questions. And the way they answer is that whatever the question is, they'll move the planchette for you to like either the yes or the no, or they'll spell something out with the letters on the board. So in case you don't know, that's how you use it. I really wanted to bring one into this video and show you guys how to do it, but unfortunately my family would not allow a Ouija board in the house, and there is a very good reason why. Some people think that Ouija boards, while they can contact spirits and is kind of like an innocent game that people play, it can also be malicious and let in demons and darker spirits into your home, and in turn those spirits can possess you or possess your home. Some people believe that that's possible, some people don't, but if you don't, I do have 3 very scary stories today that just might change your mind. Okay, so the first story I'm going to tell you about is the story of a man named Brian Roach. This story happened in Minko, Oklahoma in 2001. Brian was sleeping in his home one night, and in his home was his wife Tammy, their 2 daughters, and Tammy's mother, Carol Sue Elliker. They decided they wanted to play the Ouija board that night. So they all gathered around, they were playing the Ouija board, and all of a sudden the Ouija board told Carol, Tammy's mother, that they said that she needed to kill Brian because he was evil. Yes, evil. So she, fortunately for Brian, believed it and proceeded to walk up the stairs and stab him to death. So it gets crazier. So what happened is, after she stabbed him to death, she took her daughter Tammy and her 2 granddaughters and fled in a car. She proceeded to try to kill them as well by crashing. She crashed her car into like a signpost on the side of the road and broke both of her ankles. Okay, fortunately nobody else died, but she this is not even all of it either. There is more to it. So Carol decided that she thought that one of the granddaughters had inherited the evil from Brian. So what she did is, with 2 broken ankles, got out of the car and tried to throw one of her grandchildren in the road to be hit by a car. She did not succeed, but she then fled into the woods, where she was actually later caught. So this kind of blows my mind, because if you have 2 broken ankles, I could just imagine the pain that you would be going through. I mean, I broke 2 toes one time and I could barely walk. And for somebody to break their ankles, of all things, and to be able to still get up and try to push someone in the road and flee, the only way that I can think of that you would be able to do this is by being possessed. Okay, so that really would be the only thing that could overcome that kind of pain, I would think. So after, you know, they caught her and took her to jail, Carol, she of course went to trial, and this is kind of shocking. She got away with it. Well, she didn't completely get away with it. She got away with first-degree murder, which is what she should have been charged for. But because she pleaded insanity, she got away with it. The only thing is, they did lock her up in an insane asylum indefinitely. So I tried to look for news articles and things about like where she's at now. She's still in the insane asylum. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anything. But indefinitely just means, you know, they have the right to keep her there for however long they see fit. And hopefully she's still there, because I would hate to see this lady running around after she killed her son-in-law. And by the way, Carol had no priors. So this is the thing that's also kind of odd, is that she doesn't have a history of mental disability, and she doesn't have a criminal record, nothing. She was just like this loving grandmother, and all of a sudden, while playing this Ouija board, just snapped. I don't know. Seems kind of weird if you ask me. Another thing that I thought was kind of horrible was that Tammy, Brian's wife and Carol's daughter, also was originally charged with accessory, but she had the charges dropped, which I believe is insane, because if you're sitting there stabbing my freaking husband, I don't care if you're my mother or who you are, I'm gonna stop you. So she actually not only didn't stop her mother from killing her husband, but she also hid the murder weapon, the knife, the actual knife. She hid it. So as far as I'm concerned, she's just as guilty. Like, she wanted him dead as well. So there you have it. One story of a grandmother getting possessed and going like insane and becoming a murderer, all because a Ouija board told her to do so. The next story that I want to tell you about it comes from San Jose, California, which is my hometown. So this is probably not something to be proud of coming from there, but that is my hometown nevertheless. So this story happened in August of 2000 in the Santa Clara County Jail. I don't know if you are kind of aware of how things are now in jails. They, you know, some of the jails still have like the old style jails where it's like a single cell and then like 2 people are in that cell together and they're all like lined up in a row. But a lot of the prisons now, they don't have that. They have like these dormitory type cells where it's a big room with a bunch of little rooms in it. The big room is like the rec room, and then they have their little dormitories where, you know, like 4 people or so are bunking together, so to speak. The only privacy that, the little bit of privacy that they have is a bathroom. So I don't know if it's like closed up. I don't believe it is, because I don't think they can have things completely hidden in them. Like I don't think it's safe to have everything closed up. So I don't believe it's like completely closed up, but it's like kind of a little ways away, so they're kind of like off to the side. So basically what happened in the jail is that I think they said 3 to 4 inmates decided to make their own Ouija board. And how they did that is they used a Scrabble board, flipped it upside down, got a piece of cardboard and made their own little, like triangle planchette. And they proceeded to play the Ouija board for 3 consecutive nights in a row. So on the first night, they prayed to Satan, and they ended up actually conjuring up a woman who told them that she had been murdered. So when they went to ask her how she had been murdered, the only thing that she said was investigate. So it was a little bit mysterious. On another night, one of the inmates, I believe his last name was Marquez, he said that he all of a sudden started to feel angry. He said he felt angry, cold, but big. And also he started speaking in this really low, loud voice that was not his own voice. He didn't recognize the voice, and he felt like it did not come from him. Everybody was like really spooked out, but yet they still continued to mess with this Ouija board. So on the third night, it just kind of blew up and went insane. The guards ended up hearing things from the dormitory, so they, had to go and investigate. When they went in to investigate, they found inmates running around, arms up in the air, screaming, saying that they were possessed by this Ouija board. So everything had gone crazy, basically. The guards didn't know what to do. I mean, obviously they prepare for riots and other things, but they don't prepare for possessions. So what they ended up doing was getting a priest to come in and bless the inmates. 29 inmates in all got blessed that night. And just to be on the safe side, they decided to bless the whole dormitory. So there were some inmates who said that they grew up Catholic, and then they kind of lost their way as they grew up. And needless to say, they said that this had restored their faith. So that's the story of the demon possession in the Santa Clara County Jail. Okay, so the last story I want to tell you about is the story of a possession of a town. Yes, you heard that right. A whole town became possessed by the Ouija board. So this happened in March of 1920 in El Cerrito, California. It's a little bit down south in California. So basically what happened is 7 men and women decided that they were going to hold Ouija board sessions. So they weren't all adults. There was actually one young woman named Adeline Bottini. She was only 15 years old at the time that this happened, but her mother and some of their neighbors got together and they decided that they wanted to start holding these Ouija board sessions. So they, kind of took it to the extreme. They did 24-hour sessions on the Ouija board. They burned their clothes. They burned other possessions, and they even burned money, like up to $700, which was a lot back in 1920. So they, burned all these things because they believed that it would get rid of the bad spirits in the house. The really sad thing is that they not only did this to themselves, but there were 5 children that were in the home, the youngest being 2. The 2-year-old was not even one of their children related to them or anything. he was actually lured in by them into the home and held captive. So it was really like an unfortunate and scary thing for these children. So while they were doing all this over a series of days, the neighbors started to notice that something was funny. So they decided to go to the marshal of El Cerrito, and they complained and said, there's something weird going on there. I think they're luring children in, and there's just something funny going on. So the marshal goes over there, knocks on the door, and they answer, but they will not let him in. They refuse. So, I don't know what's going on with the marshal, but for some reason he didn't want to make this a bigger deal, or maybe he wanted to make sure that the kids in there were safe, so he didn't want it to escalate, that he decided to bring in a priest. So he got a priest to come from Berkeley all the way to El Cerrito, and he told the priest to try to talk to them to get in. The priest goes and knocks on the door and talks to them, and fortunately that worked. So they let the priest in, and when he went in, he was completely horrified. Not only the adults, but the children in the home were severely malnourished, dirty. Their clothes, they hardly were wearing any clothes. They had burned their clothes, and they were like just in this poor, horrible condition. And the poor little children had their hair cut off and burned, okay, because these adults wanted to appease the spirits and ward off the bad spirits. There was a little bit of a ruckus, yelling, and a little bit of craziness, but in the end they got everybody out. They arrested them, and the first thing that they did, besides return the young little 2-year-old boy to his father, who had been looking for him and was really worried and going out of his mind because he couldn't find his son, the first thing that the 6 adults did was blame the 15-year-old girl. They blamed Adeline. They said that Adeline forced them to do the Ouija board sessions. Okay, so now I know teenage girls can be really scary, trust me, but I have a hard time believing that a 15-year-old girl can hold 6 adult people, 3 of them being men, held them hostage and make them, do the Ouija board. That's just ridiculous. So after that, they were in jail, and then the possession that they had come under started to spread to other people in the town. Other people started claiming that they were getting possessed by what the other people had done. Not only that, there were people running the streets, throwing off their clothes and, saying that they were possessed and screaming and running around the town. It started to get really bad and really scary. So, what would you do in that situation if you were a town and your town was becoming possessed? There was priests, but that didn't seem to be working in this case. So eventually they had to actually ban everything Ouija board related from that town. No Ouija boards, no Ouija board sessions, no seances, no nothing of that kind of sort. And that was the only way they could rid their town of this possession of the Ouija board. So there you have it, from one person to a group of people to a whole town being possessed by these Ouija boards. So there you go. You have it. The story of the Ouija board, true tales of the Ouija board. Let me know if you liked this video. If you do, please make sure that you hit that thumbs up button, give me a like, a share, subscribe to my video, and if you have any other suggestions for videos, just let me know. Leave a comment and I will take a look at it. Thank you again, and bye. See you next time.